Welcome back for another episode of Math at Bedtime or Anytime. Today's episode is on making numbers, and today we're going to be talking about thinking about parts that go together to make different numbers. So one way to do this is to say, tell me two numbers that go together to make, and choose a number, and then say, can you think of another way? So for instance, if you said, tell me two numbers that go together to make 7, the child might say 6 and 1. Can you think of another way? 7 and 0, 5 and 2, 4 and 3. Tell me a doubles fact you know. If they're in first grade or second grade, they will be familiar with the term doubles. Kindergarten students will not be as familiar with that term. How many ways do you know to make 5 or 10 or 20? All of these are without using materials. So for the next one, you can use dice, or if you don't have dice available, you can imagine a dice. If I have blank, how many more do I need to have? So for instance, if I have 3, how many more do I need to have 5? If I have 7, how many more do I need to have 10? If I have 11, how many more do I need to have 20? Imagine I rolled a 6 using 2 dice. What numbers did I roll? Think about that. Imagine that in your head. You could roll a 5 and a 1. You could roll a 4 and a 2. You could roll a 3 and a 3. If you actually have dice, you can roll 2 dice and cover them and see if the child can figure out what you rolled just by seeing the numbers quickly. That's a math term called subitizing, or quick images, the ability to be able to see something and take a mental image without having to physically count dots. Students in kindergarten and first grade might still need to count the dots to know how many. The more they practice, the less they'll have to count. The more they practice, if you roll 3 and 3, they'll remember that as 6 without needing to count the quantity. All of these are great ways to practice making numbers at home. In kindergarten, students practice fluency to 5. That means understanding all of the different ways to put together 5, to take apart 5. This doesn't mean using flashcards with equations on it. This means seeing those quantities in dice, on cards, and in other ways in their everyday life. In first grade, students work on fluency to 10, knowing how to take apart and put together numbers up to 10. Tell me different ways to make 7. Tell me different ways to make 9. What are partner numbers that go together to make 10? Second grade has the biggest responsibility. They have fluency to both 20 and to 100. Start with 20 first, and then work on 100 after that. Thanks for joining us again today for another episode of Math at Bedtime or Anytime, and see you in the next episode.